Gear up, level up. Tired of the same old gun shop experience? Red Team Armory is not just selling firearms. We're providing a VIP experience. Rifles, handguns, shotguns, top-tier optics, unbeatable ammo prices. We've got you covered. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're dedicated to helping you find the perfect setup. Fast shipping and expert advice. Visit us online at todd.redteamarmory.com. Red Team Armory. Your mission, our gear.
Looking for a knife that's more than just metal? The Rainy Forge handcrafts blades in a real coal forge, the way they were meant to be made. Every knife is meticulously crafted, hair-popping sharp, and built to last a lifetime. From hunting to cooking, we've got a blade for you. Affordable heirloom quality. Visit therainyforgeblacksmith.com and click Buy a Knife to get started. The Rainy Forge, built with tradition, ready for your adventure.
Attention, you're listening to the Todd Huff Radio Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk radio. Be advised the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right, my friends. Hour 2 of today's program. It is a pleasure to be here. You know the routine, thoughts, questions, feedback. Yes, yes, yes. Always include that adoration and praise when writing Todd at ToddHuffShow.com or while texting 317-210-2830. I want to continue what we were talking about last hour, specifically with just this, the tariffs, the economy. The media is trying to create a narrative of a recession. That's what they're rooting for, they're hoping for. We'll get into this, my friends, in due course. Trump's approval rating went up 4 points since last week. It is remarkable to behold. For those on the left who mockingly said, "Are we winning yet?" Folks, this is more and more people realize that this is the path to victory. These next few weeks, months may be difficult for certain people, but listen, the last 4 years were impossible for people. If you think that these next few months are going to compare to what the average person endured since COVID, and in some respect have endured with the growth of government over the course of the past 50 to 100 years, then you're insulated from what's been going on. We're at the point where this problem, they say this problem has to be addressed. They say that we have to act now to stop climate change. If we don't act now, the planet's going to burn up under our feet. That's basically what they say. The reality is, if we want to save this country, and we want to save free markets, and we want to save our economy, this has to be done. I don't know what else to say. We're at a point where we have a serious diagnosis in this country, and it's either it gets treated or we ignore it, and it eventually kills us. That's basically metaphorically what we're looking at here. So that's where we're headed this hour. I want to pick up where we kind of left off last hour. By the way, if you want to check out last hour's program, I always would encourage you to go to, if you listen on the radio in particular, and you'd like to hear the previous hour program, or maybe you can't catch all of it on your commute or whatever, then go to ToddHuffShow.com or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to our Rumble channel even. You can see that I do, in fact, have a face for radio. But those are places that you can get it on our website, wherever you listen to podcasts, or on Rumble. You can do all those things and get the content, get the part of the program that you're not able to catch. So, before we get going here this hour, my friends, MyPillow wants you to know that they made a big order. They placed a big allotment. They have a big allotment of bed sheets that they have earmarked for the big box stores, but the big box stores fell through again. So now MyPillow is holding this huge allotment of bed sheets. But instead of whining about it, as the left would do, Mike Lindell and his team there said, you know what, let's offer wholesale prices to the consumer, directly to you, listeners of this program, other people out there who buy directly from MyPillow. And so they're going to pass those savings on to you for a limited time as long as this allotment of sheets allows. We're talking Giza Dream Sheets and Percale bed sheets. These start at, what do they start at? They're normally $139. You can get the Giza Dream Sheets starting at $69.99 for queen, $79.98 for king. The Percale sheets are normally $89.98. You can get them for $29.98 or $34.98, depending upon the size that you need for your particular sleeping arrangement. Go to mypillow.com. Use promo code TOD. You're going to get these special prices. You can also, if you prefer, if you are so inclined, you can email. You can call. My goodness. Some of you like to call. Here's a number you can call, 800-615-2015. 800-615-2015. Again, mypillow.com, promo code TOD, or if you prefer, 800-615-2015. You may still have to use the promotional code, my name Todd, when ordering over the phone as well. Either way, my friends, the sooner you do that, the better, because that will go away as soon as the sheets are sold. All right, so let's kind of pick up where we left off. When we left off, we had just read, in fact, I'll do it again since we have people that may be joining us this hour that could not join us for the previous hour. Trump went to TruthSocial earlier this morning. Earlier this morning, when Biden would have still been in bed, Trump posted this to TruthSocial. Oil prices are down. Interest rates are down. In parentheses, he writes, the slow-moving Fed should cut rates, with an exclamation point. Food prices are down. There is no inflation. That's in all caps. And the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariffs by 34%. On top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, plus not acknowledging my warning, Trump's writing here, for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades talking about China here, taking advantage of the good old USA. Our past leaders, in quotation marks, are to blame for allowing this, 100% by the way, and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again. So we're at this point where the lines have been drawn. Trump has made clear what needs to happen next, and there's uncertainty in the market. There is just havoc. The media is having a field day with this. They think Trump is trying to destroy the economy to enrich his friends and all this sort of his millionaire and billionaire friends. That's the narrative out there from some insane leftists. In reality, what's happening is what we talked about last hour, but if I was to summarize that in a couple of sentences, I would say this. The American taxpayer, the American worker, Americans in general have been paying too much of a cost in this world economy. It has been harder for our businesses to export products to other countries because of tariffs. We've had jobs shipped out of the country. We've had all sorts of things happen that have hurt people in a variety of ways. On top of that, we have bureaucracy coming out of our ears. It is everywhere. The tentacles extend everywhere. The more that bureaucracy goes into places, the more it drives up the cost of operating, of living our lives. On top of that, the government has basically lulled us to sleep. They've lulled us to sleep into believing things that, candidly, I think we need to rethink. And I know many of you have. Many of you have rethought them and have changed your minds as to what you were taught by these lovers of big government. For example, that you go to high school, public school, listen to what they tell you there, pass the tests, and then you go to college where you're programmed by some leftist professor to believe whatever nonsense that they want you to believe. You get married, or maybe you don't get married. That's not even a big deal to the government anymore. In fact, they want it to be, they've encouraged people to be in relationships where there's no consequences for some choices with abortion and so forth. They've told us that the things that are good and natural and normal are not. They've told us the things that are abnormal are in fact normal, that we have to accept those. That's where the LGBTQIAA plus agenda comes in. We've been told that we're racist simply by being white. We need to sit down and shut up and let certain voices speak. I thought all voices should always be able to speak. But the government, the lovers of big government anyway, the pillars, the 7 pillars of propaganda tell us otherwise. And so you come out of that, you got a bunch of feminists, you got a bunch of men that aren't men anymore, those that have bought into this system. You've got families that have 2 working spouses, which again, it's your choice. Live as you want to live. I'm just saying that this is the recipe that has been pushed upon us because it's the only way that we can stink and survive in this world that has been created, this bureaucratic mess where they're spending money on Sesame Street in Baghdad. This is ridiculous and out of control. The government has to be reined in. They have to be cut down to size, not for the sake of punishing anybody, but for the sake of regaining our liberty. Now, the people who have created this mess, I think absolutely should face political consequences. They should never be allowed so much as to be a dog catcher in a city moving forward. But the point is that we have to first stop the problem from getting worse and then make sure that we pay attention and are never lulled asleep again in this country into this false sense of security when we have prosperity. You know that cycle. What's that? I have a shirt. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And it cycles. And we're at a point where we're in hard times. In hard times, this is the good news. This is the silver lining. Though it sucks at the moment, though it is incredibly difficult, pressures have mounted, and we're at the point where we are facing this trade war, tariffs, all this uncertainty, market instability, whatever. Tough times make strong men. Do not doubt that. This is the time. I will speak to all of you, but specifically to the men. This is the time when we have to be strong. We have to be the leaders that we should be. And we absolutely have to, my friends, see this thing through to completion. And it's multifaceted, right? It's this thing in the economy, but it's also this thing in domestic politics. It's also this thing in what we allow to happen in our schools. We have been awakened, and I love it. And it is a beautiful thing to behold. But sometimes what it takes to awaken enough people is enough bad times. And that is what we're dealing with. The bad times have created this scenario. Trump is not creating the bad times. The bad times have been created. That cake has been baking for a long time. It has had ingredients put in it that are toxic and deadly and poisonous. It's been in the oven. Trump has come in and Trump said, I'm going to throw that cake out, metaphorically. We're going to bake a new cake. And you know what? There's going to be a period of time. Maybe you were hungry, right? Maybe you wanted that piece of cake. You thought the cake was going to be out in 5 minutes, but now you got to go for another hour or whatever it takes to bake a cake. I don't know. My kids would know. I don't know. But whatever that time is, that might be this time of uncertainty, of discomfort or whatever. And that is what we're dealing with. Don't blame Trump for creating the problems. The problems have been created by our leaders of the past. The problems were created by Joseph Robinette bribery. The problems have been created by Barack Obama, by Bill Clinton, go back into the past. There's a few examples of those who didn't contribute to that, but in general, the folks who have been running this country have not addressed these problems that have been allowed to fester. There's no more proverbial road to kick the can down. We are up against it. We're standing on the precipice, the edge of a cliff. This road leads to nowhere. We have to find a new route. We have to get back on course. That is what Donald J. Trump is doing, my friends. Make America great again, he writes. He's also written since then on TruthSocial this morning. What's the other post I saw here? Bear with me. I had it pulled up. Oh, he's been posting like crazy because a whole bunch of new clips have popped up. Here, okay, fine. I'm going to play a clip of him. This is Trump talking about tariffs. It's a clip that aired on Fox News. He's aired this, or I should say posted this, on his TruthSocial account. Here in the past hour or two, he's posted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 things in the past hour. He's got a graph here, a total private investment secured. And it's got Biden. Trump has already surpassed Biden. Trump has secured, let's see, 1,000 million, billion, trillion, $1.5 trillion in total private investment secured that Trump has secured in 2025. Biden, over his 4-year term, just secured little over 1 trillion. Let's make sure 1,000 million, billion. Yeah, just over $1 trillion. Trump's already eclipsed that by $500 billion, and he's only 2 months into this. I'm telling you, if this is allowed to play out, and it should be allowed to play out, there's fights everywhere. There's fights in the courts. There's fights in politics. There's what's happening in media and social media and all this stuff. We got other countries whining about this. Folks, remember, they have been doing to us what we are now doing to them with these tariffs. If they don't like the tariffs, it turns out it's totally within their power to change it. In fact, reports are that there are 50 countries that have already reached out about negotiating with the United States. You may have seen that Argentina, we are seeking a 0% tariff relationship with them, reciprocated both ways. This is the sort of thing that Trump wants to see happen. Trade is going to be restructured. The United States of America is not going to let you take advantage of us any longer. All these things, if you look at what is happening, they're all intricately tied together. DOGE is cutting expenses. They're cutting stupid contracts. Trump and his team are looking at making sure that the trade, international trade in general, is not a one-sided, lopsided situation. We are not going to put our tax-paying citizens, our American families, American workers, we are not business owners. We're not going to put them any longer under this burden. The game is up. The jig is up. It is time for a change. It is happening before our very eyes. It is revolutionary, and it is going to be a wild ride. It is going to be bumpy. It's going to be a little bit all over the place. But if we can see this thing through, better days are ahead. Hang in there, my friends. Better days are ahead. In fact, some of you, listen, for a lot of folks, a lot of average people think, look, what's happening now hasn't impacted me. What impacted me a lot more was the price of groceries skyrocketing over the last 4 years. What impacted me a lot more were the fiscal realities put upon me because of all the stuff that we've found out the government was doing inefficiently, fraudulently, potentially, wastefully at best. That's been paid for. You would have been better off in some cases to just take your money as you're driving down the road and throw it out the window than to give it to the federal government. You would have been better. You'd have been better off because at least you would have had a little bit of enjoyment by throwing it out the window. Would have been a fun memory to share. I'm not advising this, but it's better than watching these knuckleheads do the things that they've been doing. These things are all intricately connected. Trump is trying to fundamentally change it, and listen, I love this. He's got 4 years. He is, if we don't do this now, when? And if it's not going to be Trump, who's the next person that's going to have the strength of, just the resolve necessary to fight these things, to push these things through? Listen, I think that there's other people that have some potential, but I don't think anywhere close to what Trump has and what he's endured and put up with and just walked through the fire time and time again. Teflon Don. I mean, it is a remarkable thing to behold. But we're all going to have to be a little bit Teflon-like here for the next few months. But most people say, look, the drops in the stock market, those things are academic. That's all on paper for a lot of people. Some people, if they're older, are saying, hey, this is affecting my retirement, my savings, my pension. I am sympathetic to that. I understand. But to blame Trump for this, I mean, his choices were to ignore the fundamental problems and they never be addressed. And the economy continues to not produce. There's not the ability for the average American to have prosperity, to buy a home, to live their lives. And that's, or just accept that as a reality for the rest of eternity, the rest of this nation's existence. And that, I mean, that was the choice. And so I would also say this, these things are going to be bumps and glitches. In fact, if you look at the stock market charts, your stock market was in a lot more turmoil in the previous 4 years than it was now. Now, this is sharp and quick and short term, and there's a lot going on and a lot of uncertainty. But once this is settled, and you know this, you absolutely know this, once this is settled, these markets are going to correct again. The sooner we get through this, the better. The more aggressive we are, the better. It's better to deal with, instead of having, phase one and the market takes a bunch of dips and it doesn't fully recover because you didn't do everything you really should have done. You just got to do it. You got to do it all. And that's what Trump is doing with Doge, with cutting bureaucracy, with fixing these contracts, with finding waste, fraud, and abuse, with reducing the size and scope of government, with issuing these tariffs, with just restructuring all this. It's going to be uncertain and potentially painful for the short term, but in the mid to long-term period of time, this is going to be better for everybody. This is going to be better for everybody. This is necessary improvement that needs to be done here in this great nation. Friends, I've got to take a break. Before I do that, let me remind you about Freedom Marketplace. You are probably tired of spending money, your hard-earned money. You've had it taken away by the government, as we've already talked about, through taxes. But you've also spent money at some point, more than likely, at a business who's then taken that profits from your money and used it to support the causes and candidates that you fight vociferously against. And so, my friends, that's why we started Freedom Marketplace. FreedomMarketplace.net is a free searchable directory of businesses. We own it here at the Todd Huff Show. They share your conservative values. These businesses have vowed not to support candidates that are on the left or leftist causes. If they do, they're kicked out of the directory, my friends. So, good, patriotic businesses that are pushing in the same direction that you are. Check it out today, freedommarketplace.net. That's freedommarketplace.net. Liberty and business for all. I have to take a time out. You're listening here to Conservative, Not Bitter Talk. I am your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Gear up, level up. Tired of the same old gun shop experience? Red Team Armory is not just selling firearms. We're providing a VIP experience. Rifles, handguns, shotguns, top-tier optics, unbeatable ammo prices. We've got you covered. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're dedicated to helping you find the perfect setup. Fast shipping and expert advice. Visit us online at todd.redteamarmory.com. Red Team Armory, your mission, our gear.
Seeking natural solutions for your health and wellness? Look no further than Garden Root Remedy. We offer handcrafted herbal tinctures, salves, teas, and more made with only the highest quality organic herbs. We provide personalized consultations to help you find the perfect herbal remedy for your specific needs. Experience the power of nature's healing touch. Visit Garden Root Remedy online at gardenrootremedy.com. That's gardenrootremedy.com. Rooted in nature, blooming with wellness.
At FurnitureMadeInUSA.com, we provide beautiful chairs, rockers, stools, and tables handcrafted by skilled American artisans in North Carolina since 1924. With every purchase, you're supporting American businesses, American workers, and their families. Don't just buy furniture, invest in a piece of American history. Shop now at FurnitureMadeInUSA.com.
Welcome back, my friends. So, bunch of stuff here that Trump has posted on TruthSocial here just this morning. Very many posts. But there's a clip that I was going to share anyway that he's posted. He's on Air Force One, I believe. You can hear the roar of the engines in the background. He's talking with journalists about the trade deficit that's out there and why he's doing what he's doing and how this is going to help the American economy. Here he is. This is a 48-second clip of him explaining what's going on behind the scenes here and what he's trying to fix and address.
I've spoken to many countries. They all want to do, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing, every country is calling and being very solicitous of us. Very, very nice. They're being very nice. And we have to be able to justify. This is not sustainable. The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion on trade. We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations. We cover them with military, then we lose money on trade. The whole thing is crazy. And I got elected on that basis. We explained it. You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media. But the media understands it. And much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say. Okay.
$1.9 trillion trade deficit. That can't be what we're dealing with each and every year. We can't be dealing with these trade deficits each and every day of the week. We can't be dealing with this. So he pointed out there that countries are basically clamoring. He posted about that too. Countries are from all over the world are talking to us. Tough but fair parameters are being set, he wrote. This was again this morning. Spoke to the Japanese Prime Minister this morning. He is sending a top team to negotiate. They have treated the U.S. very poorly on trade, Trump says. They don't take our cars, but we take millions of theirs. Likewise, agriculture and many other things. It all has to change, but especially with China. Funny how no matter what he's talking about, no matter which country he's negotiating with, he keeps calling out China. China is the main culprit here, and that's going to be the toughest nut probably to crack in this scenario that we're going through. Trump also wrote this: the United States has a chance to do something that we should have done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panican, P-A-N-I-C-A-N, a new party based on weak and stupid people. He writes, be strong, courageous, and patience, and greatness will result. I'm telling you this, listen, you know this. I would even say deep down, almost inherently. This is, you don't have to be an economist. Some of these things are complicated. I understand that, but you don't have to be a PhD economist to understand the basics of what's going on here. The basics are the United States has been carrying way too much of the burdens of the world today. Listen, if you want to, use your prosperity to help certain groups or causes or whatever, you should be able to do that. If you want to be part of a church, you want to be part of give to a nonprofit, do it, have at it, go to it. But for your money to be taken forcibly from you and then given to a foreign country when you are struggling, when many Americans are struggling, that just doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, in order to give that money away, it's not really in our pockets. It's coming out of our children's future production, actually our great-grandkids' future production. And then you factor in the trade deficits. I mean, you have a really bad recipe for a really, really bad disaster. And it is unsustainable. If any company was run like this, it would completely sink. This is unsustainable. The only thing that saves the United States of America is the pure size of its economy. Of course, the power, the dollar and its acceptance and so forth around the world, which that's changing. And also just its military might, its power, its reputation. But if you look at the fundamentals here, I mean, this is crazy stuff what we're doing. You wouldn't invest in a company like this. Now, if someone like a CEO like Trump came in or Elon came in and started doing the things that they're doing now, you might reconsider it because you might be on the upswing here. But this is unsustainable. It is unsustainable. All of these things are unsustainable. And those things have been ignored by the American elected officials, by our government. I won't even say the political party or the names, but the people, the predecessors, those who have been, now some of them have been trying to get the attention of the American people to the size and scope of this problem, certainly. But it's not been taken seriously. It's been ignored, and they have not addressed it. Donald Trump has done all of this. He's done all of this. He and his cabinet. Now he's going to need the cooperation of Congress, which, by the way, I alluded to earlier. I don't know if I've got that pulled up. It is in the stack of stuff. I love this. Trump's approval rating. Here it is. In spite of all of this, my friends, in spite of everything happening, all the negative news, all the finger pointing at Trump, all the people who don't have the slightest idea of the size and scope of the problem that existed before Trump even was a political figure. I mean, a lot of this stuff was long before 2015. In spite of all of that now being blamed on Trump, all this uncertainty, turmoil, Trump's trade war, all this stuff, right? Article here, justthenews.com, a new poll found President Trump's approval rating has gone up despite the controversy resulting from his tariff actions. A dailymail.com JL Partners poll of more than 1,000 registered voters was conducted from March 31st to April 3rd. That was a few days ago. It found Trump's approval rating rose to 53%. I love this, 53%, which is a 4-point increase from the previous week's 49%. 53%, my friends. Okay, I thought there was another paragraph. But just think about that. In spite of all this, the American people realize that what Trump is doing is necessary. This is so encouraging to me. I mean, there was a period of time when we have a series of things that have unfolded here that have not, they've not occurred before, at least not in modern times. You have the circumstances where the American people have felt the pain for too long. You've had the experience of the previous administration, which we had to endure. I think some people had to endure that to realize what they were really up against, what they were really fighting against. I think some people have that problem. They needed to see, well, what it was like one way to live under the Biden regime, and then to compare that to what it is under Trump. I think some people needed to see COVID, the way that we reacted to that and how mismanaged that whole thing was. I think, again, it's a terrible thing. I'm saying some people needed to see how massively the government failed before they stopped putting more faith in it. I'm not cheering for that. I'm just saying that I think these circumstances and then the candidacy of Trump, and not just the candidacy, but the fact that he served his first term, he had a 4-year hiatus, they engaged in lawfare to bring him down, there was an attempted assassination. All of these things lead us to this point where Trump is now I don't want to say Trump was the slightest bit afraid his first term, but I think if it's possible, he's less concerned and afraid this time. It is all hands on deck. We are going to do the work that's necessary for the American people. He's running this country like he would run his business effectively, as much as he's able to do that. And he is, it is just remarkable to me. We're at a point when the history books look back and the left says, oh, the history books are not going to be kind to you. You MAGA Republicans are going to be considered as Nazi scum and all this stupid, ridiculous, just insane, superficial, bogus nonsense. And it's misinformed, it's misunderstood, it's filled with rage and hatred and all sorts of things. It's not healthy, it's not good. It's just a terrible, terrible way of looking at the world, the way that the radical left does. But the reality of the circumstances are that when the history books are written, if Trump is able to see this thing through and he's not stopped by some vote in Congress or some court and the Supreme Court doesn't see it his way or whatever, if he's able to push these things through, my friends, this is truly a revolutionary moment. This will be the moment that we point back to and say this country was saved. This economy was restored. Prosperity had returned to the United States of America. And to think that, first of all, the things we've had to go through, and to think of those bleak and just almost hopeless phases, periods of time that we've dealt with over the past 15 or 20 years or whatever, to think that we are on the precipice of this, it is remarkable. This may be the one chance that we've got. And if he can't do it, I don't know what has to happen for it to, for things to flip. But it is a remarkable thing. It is a beautiful thing. And I know when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to see it for what it is. We shouldn't stop and just try to appreciate it. But I do feel the need to at least point it out. This is a remarkable thing that we are living through. It is truly a revolutionary moment, and it can change for the better, the prosperity and opportunity provided to the American people in this great country. I have to take a time out, though, my friends. Sit tight, back in just a minute.
Gear up, level up. Tired of the same old gun shop experience? Red Team Armory is not just selling firearms. We're providing a VIP experience. Rifles, handguns, shotguns, top-tier optics, unbeatable ammo prices. We've got you covered. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're dedicated to helping you find the perfect setup. Fast shipping and expert advice. Visit us online at todd.redteamarmory.com. Red Team Armory, your mission, our gear.
Seeking natural solutions for your health and wellness? Look no further than Garden Root Remedy. We offer handcrafted herbal tinctures, salves, teas, and more made with only the highest quality organic herbs. We provide personalized consultations to help you find the perfect herbal remedy for your specific needs. Experience the power of nature's healing touch. Visit Garden Root Remedy online at gardenrootremedy.com. That's gardenrootremedy.com. Rooted in nature, blooming with wellness.
Looking for a knife that's more than just metal? The Rainy Forge handcrafts blades in a real coal forge, the way they were meant to be made. Every knife is meticulously crafted, hair-popping sharp, and built to last a lifetime. From hunting to cooking, we've got a blade for you. Affordable heirloom quality. Visit therainyforgeblacksmith.com and click Buy a Knife to get started. The Rainy Forge, built with tradition, ready for your adventure.
Welcome back, my friends. Here we are, final segment of today's program. And I don't normally do this, but we've been on Trump's TruthSocial page virtually this whole program today. It's linked if you want to see it. Some of you may not be on TruthSocial, but it is linked at least to one of his posts on the stack of stuff. But there's another post that was posted, I think, Saturday morning over the weekend. Again, Biden would have still been in bed. China has been hit much harder than the USA, not even close, Trump wrote over the weekend. They and many other nations have treated us unsustainably badly. We have been the dumb and helpless whipping post, he writes, but not any longer. We are bringing back jobs and businesses like never before already. More than $5 trillion of investment and rising fast. This is an economic revolution. That it is, my friends. It has the potential to be, and we will win. Hang tough. It won't be easy, but the end result will be historic. We will make America great again. You know, this is interesting. He keeps ending these posts with "Make America great again. We will make America great again. You know, it's interesting. I hear these leftists and these folks on the left condescendingly ask on social media, tell me when we're making America great again. Well, here's one in its early stages. Here's one that I don't have the end of the script written yet. I don't know how this story ends. I think this is going to be massively beneficial to America, to all people, even the leftists who hate Trump. I mean, that is if they want to work and not just receive handouts or work at NGOs that are funded by a corrupt government. But if they want to work and take advantage of the opportunities, they can benefit from this. But I don't have this story has not been written. This is happening in real time. So watch it with us and decide if, in fact, this will make America great again, or will you be right and it'll make America worse? It's going to destroy our economy. Let's watch together. But I will tell you this, that the United States of America holds a lot of the cards, if potentially all the cards, virtually all the cards anyway. So Trump is saying we're going to renegotiate. These trade deficits are not acceptable. The United States of America has been taken advantage of for too long. The average American worker has been taken advantage of for too long. Folks, just let this sink in. From a political perspective, and I think Trump's doing this because this is what he thinks needs to be done. He doesn't have another election to win, but if you look at politically the consequences of this, the potential outcome of this, and you look and you see, we have people in the Democrat Party who have abandoned the blue-collar worker. They abandoned the union Democrat. They abandoned these folks in 2010. They abandoned them in 2010. They decided to go in for a conglomerate of unrelated single-issue voters and woke people, and they abandoned the American worker. And they contributed to this environment where the American worker continued to take it on the proverbial chin. The American small business took it on the proverbial chin because of, well, a whole lot of problems, including taxes and bureaucracy and regulation and inflation. Inflation hits people with less resources the hardest. It's impacting, it's a bigger percentage when they go to buy food and gas and so forth. It's a bigger percentage of their income that's being impacted by just make-believe math that happens in Washington, D.C. Trump says enough. This is going to be an American economic revolution. We're going to win. Hang tough. We will see this through, and we will make America great again. This, my friends, you know what? I wish, and I know the left is not capable of this. I think that some liberals might be. Fair-minded people are. People who aren't embracing fully the godless worldview of the radical left and who have abandoned the truth for a lie. But to watch this, this is a case study in leadership too. This is a case study in leadership. You set an ambitious goal and you tell your people, that's what we're shooting for. And let's go get it, right? Let's go get it. Now, I don't know, will we get everything here? Will there be anything that doesn't go in our favor? Probably we'll get some things that we're going to have to concede on. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe not. But the reality is, this is what leadership looks like. This is what bold, ambitious leadership looks like. This should be a case study. This should be a template for Republicans who want to be serious about leading this country again and making America a better place, returning it to its founding, getting us back away from bureaucracy and so forth. This is the template. This is the model. Pay attention. Take notes, my friends. Here I am at the end of the hour. And I got to tell you, my friends, that I know you care about the country, but in order for us to do something about it, you got to stay healthy and you got to take care of yourself. That's why I tell you about Soul Tea. It's an all-natural, clinically proven way to lower cholesterol. Science is spoken. No prescriptions, no doctor's visits. It's not even a lot of money. It's very affordable. All you have to do is take 2 Soul Tea soft gels a day. This is not a drug, but science is spoken and it does work. So I take it. I think you should consider taking it as well. So you can go to soultea.com, SOLTEA, soultea.com, And if you decide to make a purchase, you're going to save 50% off and get free shipping. You're 50% off your first 3-month supply when you use promo code Todd. It's affordable. It's a great place to start, my friends. And that is Salty, an all-natural way to lower your cholesterol. I've got to go, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful day. We will see you again tomorrow. SDG.
Gear up, level up. Tired of the same old gun shop experience? Red Team Armory is not just selling firearms. We're providing a VIP experience. Rifles, handguns, shotguns, top-tier optics, unbeatable ammo prices. We've got you covered. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're dedicated to helping you find the perfect setup. Fast shipping and expert advice. Visit us online at todd.redteamarmory.com. Red Team Armory, your mission, our gear.
At FurnitureMadeInUSA.com, we provide beautiful chairs, rockers, stools, and tables handcrafted by skilled American artisans in North Carolina since 1924. With every purchase, you're supporting American businesses, American workers, and their families. Don't just buy furniture, invest in a piece of American history. Shop now at FurnitureMadeInUSA.com.